Alright, what is up again, guys? I have another build, except it is for Warlock this time. Sorry if my voice is a little bit weird. It just started hurting, or it just started being weird. This build is very high risk, high reward, as you will see in a second here. Yeah, I'm sorry if you can't hear me. My mic is still doing weird things. I'm trying to speak up, but it's a little bit hard with my voice now pretty much giving out. So to start off, I'm going to just really quickly do that, as I have solo operative active on my artifact. I will show the rest of the mods in a second. That's pretty much, which just means if you're doing something solo, if you get any precision hit, which I did just get, you'll see damage boost. You'll get a 15% damage boost. It does not matter how many precision kills you get, it just boosts your weapon damage by 15%. Now, you're gonna see why this build is high risk, high reward. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's risky, but it's hard to set up, and you'll see why. Yeah, look at that damage. This is clearly the highest damage that we have gotten on a build on this channel. It's the highest ratio of damage to time, as I was just a little bit over the time of a Song of Flame. I do not know how long that lasts, but you get the point. Obviously it takes a while to set up, but the trade-off is very massive damage in a very short amount of time. And now let me explain everything that just happened in typical fashion. So, this is my preferred way to run this build. To start, we have the rake angle glaive. It does not really matter which roll you have. I just like this roll of overflow close to melee, but you know, you can kind of use whatever for this. For your glaive, it doesn't really matter, as they don't usually get the greatest perks if they're in the primary slot like this one. The second one is the Akilos SG, or the Akilos shotgun, whatever you want to call it. This one's roll does in fact matter. You full choke is the best one. For mag, it does not really matter. I just choose appended for the 8 shots. Now, this is the most probably. This is very important. Grave Robber will reload your weapon pretty much every time you do a charged melee, so you can just keep shooting it while you have a charged melee, and it does a lot of. You can just keep shooting it if you're using your charged melees a lot. And then you have to have one do punch because it directly improves your charged melee damage. This does not really matter. It's just the origin trait, so it doesn't really help with a shotgun. And then for your exotic, you will be using the tractor cannon. This is one of the biggest debuffs in the game, as it's weakened. You do not necessarily need the catalyst, but it's nice to have, as it goes from freaking like 3 shots to 7, and it also gets more ammo generation. Now, there's an alternative build. You can also do it this way with the perfect paradox shotgun, which again, if you want full choke, you don't necessarily need tac mag. I don't know if it gets assault mag, that would be the best one, but tac mag is still great. These two are the best ones to have. This one can make it easier to stagger combatants, which is great. This one, it's just stat bonuses pretty much. Again, 1-2 punch. This basically does the same thing as Grave Robber, except it's an origin trait, so it has a little bit more use. And then for your glaive, I personally choose the Heron. An alternative is the Ecliptic Distaff, which you can earn from solo ops. The best roll here, these don't really matter anything for just good stats on the roll, or on the gun, I guess. You want Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds, as this is the best Add Clear Void thing you can get. Yes. This is probably the better one, as it's a better Add Clear thing. It's honestly up to you. And the way that you get these weapons to start off, the Aikilo shotgun, the way that you get the craftable is from the Operation Seraph Shield mission. Now, you might be wondering, when I run it, I don't get any red borders. Now, the way you get red borders now is there's a modifier called Classic Collector that you can put on when you're selecting modifiers, like when you're loading in. It's a guaranteed 2 red borders per completion of any of the Season of the Seraph weapons, unless you have them all. And it does take a while to get because it's RNG and you might get other weapons. But, you know, you can still get this, and the crafted weapon is just nice to have. Now, for this glaive, the Heron, you can get it from one of the tenants with Monument of Triumph. I do believe it is Tenet of Bravery, where it's the one that has the engrams. You are choosing, I think, you are choosing the Lawless or Reclamation event engrams, and it has the chance to drop one of these. Yeah. Now for this, the Perfect Paradox, it is a world loot. It is a world loot pool drop. Along with a couple other weapons. You can attune it, so that's nice. Then the Rake Angle, this is pretty much only a reward from Zavala, I do believe, as it is not in the Fire Team Ops drops, but, or if it is in something else, you know, you can also just focus it from Zavala if you have a Vanguard Engram, I think a couple tokens, a couple Vanguard tokens, or ciphers, and Glimmer. And then Tractor Cannon, you can get this, I do believe, in the New Light campaign. And now for the artifact, this is the thing that matters the most. So to start, this is just, if this is, you know, this gives you more orbs if you need. This is probably the most important thing because it gives you more weapon damage that will stay until you croak. And one of them is enough to give you 15%, which is the max. This does not really matter if you're going solo, but it's nice to have if you're in a raid. This is for just, you don't need it. You don't need it. These are just like because I wanted extra mods for something else. Don't worry about these. Now, Radiant, it gives your solar weapons the ability to cause extra ignitions, which is extra damage because of Scorch. Now, this is the best if you're using the version of this build that has Aikilo Shotgun. So I would suggest this if you're going to use the version with Aikilo Shotgun. And then this probably isn't going to get active if you're on Solar Warlock. Just if you're in a raid and your teammates are using a strand or are giving the boss a strand or stasis debuff, this gives you increased weapon damage. Again, for armor, we are using the fog set. This one is the most important, as you will see, you will definitely be having a subclass buff the whole time. Let me just swap this really quickly. And you will be keeping a lot of stuff up. So to start, With your class item, you again time dilation. This is you know what I'm gonna say. I think only one solar weapon surge is enough, but you can kind of choose how many you want. It doesn't really matter. Again, this does not really matter, but I just choose charged up and then melee damage resistance because I don't want to get smacked around when I'm in a boss's face. Now, this is where it starts to matter. You want to have triple melee font guaranteed because you're definitely going to have armor charge because of the amount of orbs you're giving or getting, and you're going to get more melee damage, which is the main part of this build. Your helmet mods don't really matter, so just kind of put on whatever you want and see how it goes. Now, subclass. This is the other extremely important part of this. So to start off, we will be on the Song of Flame because it makes our melee come back faster, in addition to Winter's Guile, which basically just means after 10 melee kills of any kind, we can hit an enemy with any type of melee again, and it gives you insane melee regen and a lot, and I mean a lot, of increased damage for that melee. Yes. So then Phoenix Dive, I just like this. Burst Glide, I'm not going to explain these two. Just Celestial Fire is the best one. I have tested this with Incinerator Snap for the extra ignitions, but this one does a lot more damage and can still provide ignitions. So this is the better one. Healing Nade, it's just useful to have as if you're in a boss's face on Master or something. You're definitely going to want to be alive. Icarus Dash, because I know for a fact Warlock mains cannot go a second without dying if they don't have their Icarus Dash on. Touch of Flame, because it improves your healing grenade so that it is better. And now for your aspects. This is, your, if you're in a boss, your ignitions might also hit other targets, and you're definitely going to have ignitions. I would not say that this is the most necessary, but you know, um, you know, final blows of the solar super. You're gonna have Song of Flame, so if you actually end up killing something while you have Song of Flame active for whatever reason, you know, you get the fire sprite. Now, this is the most important part. You know how I said that you would have a subclass buff? You're gonna have Radiant the whole time, as this is a build centered around powered melee. And look what this does. Now, this makes it so that you can get pretty much infinite orbs. And this also causes your Aikilo shotgun to become miles better. You know, going back to this, and then I just have this. I don't really need this. This is mostly for the stat boosts. This is for the stat boosts, this is 2, and this is 2. Now, the reason why you want the stat boosts is because you're going to want 200 melee. Plus 30% PvE. 200. Skirmy, Brawler, Skirmy, Skirmy, Skirmy. This is the time where stats actually really matter for this build. Weapons does not matter too much, but, you know, it gives, I think it gives increased damage, and it also makes it so that you have a higher chance of getting bricks. This just makes your super do more damage. It also increases the amount of super energy from all sources, as you can see. So that is pretty much the chunk of the build. You know, this one is definitely one of the better ones. However, it does suffer from the fact that if you mess up even once, you are not going to be getting the full damage, and that's just not going to be very good. And, you know, like, the idea of having 144,000 average if you're on 1-2 punch it's definitely appealing, but it's hard to pull off. Now, do you necessarily need 1-2 punch? Not really. It's usually about a 20,000 difference, so you can put on a different weapon if you want to be doing act clear. I would suggest a solar weapon specifically if you have something like this on, because after damage, if you want to keep radiant on you, or if you want to keep your restoration so you stay alive, something like Trust or Zyoli's Bane or any other solar weapon that is good for act clear is great. And with that, I do say that this video is over. I hope you guys enjoyed. The next video will probably be another Titan one, but it could end up being a Hunter one or another Warlock one.